Hi, this is TheHande. Welcome to another tier list video, and today I'm ranking all the Jackie Chan movies I've ever seen. Yes, I have 35 Jackie Chan movies down here that I'm going to be ranking, and as always with these tier list videos, I don't use the letter grades, but instead I have my own special rating system here. Okay, so I'll be ranking these 35 Jackie Chan movies, but I want to talk a little bit about some of the movies that are not here that maybe people would expect to see here. Now, first of all, obviously, I will have to have watched the movie before I can rank it, and because of that, there's a couple of Jackie Chan movies that are not here. I have never seen Drunken Master or Snake in the Eagle's Shadow. I know, fake fan or whatever, and, the reason I haven't seen those movies is not because I don't want to see them, it's because I just haven't had the opportunity. And Jackie Chan has made a lot of movies. Like, at his peak, I think he was making like 5 a year. I wanted to make this, again, a kind of an apples-to-apples comparison of these movies. So, I don't think it's fair to rank movies where Jackie is just a supporting character in the film. The first one that I have to bring up is Winners and Sinners. Now, Jackie is technically one of the lead actors in that, but it's more of an ensemble cast film. And here's the thing, Jackie is not really central to the main movie, to the movie's main storyline. So, even though it is an absolute great movie that I absolutely recommend seeing, because Jackie is not the main character in that, I can't allow it. But that movie's sequel, which is really just a sequel in name only, it's called Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars. In that one, that's the one where Jackie's partner gets kidnapped by ninjas and they have to go save him. That one I'm willing to allow because Jackie is unquestionably like a central character in the story, and he's the one who kicks the story's events into gear. Also, another movie that I'm not allowing on this rank are either of the Cannonball Run movies. Jackie is in those, but again, they're ensemble films. And any kind of spin-off movies, like Once a Cop, which is spin-off from the Police Story movies. Like, Jackie has a cameo in that, but it's not really in it, like, for the long run. And finally, a quick explanation. All-time favorite is pretty clear. Bad is pretty clear. Pretty meh movies that that I am not a big fan of. They might not necessarily be awful movies, but they're just not ones that I don't personally get a lot out of. Now, these three ranks, these blue ones, these are not necessarily in order from best to worst. They're all pretty much even. But here's the thing, like, people get very different things out of Jackie Chan movies. Some people watch Jackie Chan movies principally for the action scenes. I'm kind of like a little old-fashioned in that I kind of believe that the story of the film actually has to make a little bit of sense. So even if a Jackie Chan movie doesn't necessarily have the best action scenes, I might still include it because I think it's because I like the story. And then, goofy as hell, Jackie's movies typically are pretty silly, so that's why I'm willing to allow them. But there's a couple of specific movies why I included this particular rank. And the way that I normally like to go about ranking these anything in these tier lists is by naming my favorite and then least favorite. And we start with my favorite. And sorry, these are not in any particular order. I'm using TierMaker again, and they always love to shovel these. All-time favorite Jackie Chan movie, Who Am I? In this movie, Jackie is a mercenary who's hired to steal this important rock, and then his entire mercenary group gets betrayed. He falls out of a helicopter, gets amnesia, then he spends the rest of the movie figuring out who he is, which is where we get the title. And the funny thing is that we know who the bad guy is right from the beginning, but Jackie doesn't. I always kind of wondered, can we really call it a mystery then if, the audience is in on the secret? Here's the funny thing. The last couple of years, I've actually been made aware of this TV show called Columbo, which is about a detective who solves murders. But unlike a whodunit, it's done in reverse, where we know who is the murderer, and the sort of the suspense comes from seeing how the main character figures it out. And I feel honestly the same way about this. And Who Am I, of course, has some fantastic action sequences. It has fantastic comedy sequences, especially when he's still in Africa in that first half of the movie. Um, it's an all-time classic. It's one of the first Jackie Chan movies I ever saw. It is absolutely amazing film. I'll highly recommend it. Now, as for my least favorite Jackie Chan movie, until very recently, I had always maintained that The Tuxedo was the worst Jackie Chan movie that I had ever watched. But I recently actually re-watched The Tuxedo, and don't get me wrong, I still think it's a bad movie, but now I have to be honest. There is one movie that is objectively way worse. The Protector. Yeah, so The Protector, if you don't know about this one, this was Jackie's second attempt at trying to break into the American film industry. Um, it was directed by this director who I believe had no clue how to make a Jackie Chan movie. Um, this movie has like two fight scenes in it. The rest of the time, like you see, Jackie is either using a gun or he's doing some other bullshit throughout the movie. There's surprisingly high amounts of blood in it. Like when people get shot in this film, there's like, just oodles of blood. His partner in the movie is an actor called Danny Aioli. He's like the worst cast sidekick for Jackie ever. There's like two chase scenes that involve boats that look awful. And Jackie kills the main bad guy by dropping some construction equipment on their helicopter. I mean, it's just a goddamn mess. It is the most tone-deaf Jackie Chan movie ever. Now, the director did not have a high opinion of Jackie Chan. Jackie hated the movie, and it was a pretty big box office bomb everywhere it was released. And it pissed Jackie off so much that he decided to make another cop-related movie soon after this, which is Police Story. And yeah, this is just an inexcusably bad movie. Like usually when there's like a notorious film, I'm willing to kind of give it a little bit of a chance. But no, The Protector is just that bad. Like those two fight scenes that are in the film, those are literally the only good thing about the movie. It is honestly just a complete utter shit show. It is real bad in my opinion. I want to talk about another one of my favorites, and I think I'll talk about the first Jackie Chan movie I ever watched, which is this, Thunderbolt. So in Thunderbolt, Jackie is a mechanic in Hong Kong, and he gets roped in on this police operation to stop this illegal street racer. Then that the illegal street racer, he gets arrested, but he breaks out of jail. He kidnaps Jackie's sisters and then tries to force him to race them. This has the same director as the King of Fighters movie, if you remember when I ranked that in the video game movie rankings. But this is a much better movie. The main theme is an absolute banger. Now, Jackie did film this when his foot was broken. It was broken during the shooting of his previous movie, which I'll talk about soon. I do like this. It has always been one of my favorites. The one thing that I find really distracting is that during the car chase scenes, several times it's kind of obvious. The director will love to do like screwy camera speeds, and sometimes the car scenes are clearly like speeded up. There's weird choppy editing. The fight scenes, the action scenes look great in this. Like even though Jackie had a broken leg, I don't think it actually shows in the action side of things. And I like that this movie, it does have comedy, but it does have like, it gets pretty gritty in places too. So I'm going to put it in my all-time favorites. I might change my opinion on the ranking. We'll see where it winds up. Okay, one that I can say I definitely love, and then this gives me an excuse to talk about the sequel. Shanghai Noon with Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson. This is a great combo of just like Western tropes and Kung Fu movie action. And it's just really well directed. There's some great action scenes. And I think Owen Wilson and Jackie are just a great combo. Now there is one support actor Jackie has who's even better, and we'll be talking about it in a minute as well. But yeah, this is a fantastic film, great story, and I also like Princess Pepe, who's played by I forgot her name, Lucy Liu, is it? Yeah, she's also great in this. I love the villain actor, and there's just great Western things in this. It's a great fun good time of a movie. I absolutely love it and enjoy it. Now the sequel, Shanghai Nights, is not as good. And the main problem, here it is. The main problem with this is it's very, very lowbrow. And don't get me wrong, there are some lowbrow jokes in Shanghai Noon like that, but this is like really like low level stuff. And unfortunately, like I'm gonna be honest, it's a common denominator in almost all of my least favorite Jackie movies. Is usually kind of very, low grade, lowbrow comedy, and they do like every, the movie's set in England this time, and they do every freaking foreign tourists in England jokes in this. That said, the action scenes are still great. I think the story as it is actually, decent. It's not as good as Shanghai Noon. Shanghai Noon has also, like, because of Jackie's character arc, is just much stronger in this. I'm gonna put it here in the good action, weak story. It could just as easily go into goofy as hell, but I think there's a couple of movies that I think are more fit for that category. But it is a good, it is that kind of a movie. Actually, another film with good action, but maybe not the greatest story. Let's say this is the oldest movie I have on the ranking, which is the Shaolin Wooden Men. So this is from before Snake in the Eagle Shadow, and Snake in the Eagle Shadow is an important movie in Jackie's history because that's when he started doing his comedic kung fu antics. This is from Jackie's Bruceploitation period when he was trying to be Bruce Lee. Oh, not exactly. I think this movie is kind of like a prototype of what he would end up doing. He plays a mute main character, but it has really good action scenes. It's a very, very simple movie, but it's just executed so well that it's very enjoyable to watch. There's not a lot to it. Like, Jackie is just this kind of down-and-out apprentice at a martial arts school, but then slowly he begins to learn the different skills he needs and then goes up against the big bad guy at the end. I think this is just a good time. And it's interesting, and I always find it very endearing to see, somebody's like very early work. Speaking of which, yeah, that one makes me want to talk about. I've talked about The Protector. That was Jackie's second attempt at trying to break into American cinema. His first attempt is a film called Battle Creek Brawl. This is sometimes also called the Big Brawl as well. Now, the thing with this movie, which is very obvious, is he was not allowed to shoot action scenes as many times as he would like, and the fight scenes can be occasionally a bit clumsy if you compare it to other Jackie Chan films. They're still good. I think the action scenes are good, and compared to The Protector, Jackie is in a much more appropriate role. This is a much lighter, much funnier movie, and the guy who was the old wizard dude from Conan the Barbarian plays his uncle in this. I think he's great. He's got a great cast of characters around him. It's a period piece. It's set in the 30s, I think, and it's a lot of fun. My only criticism for this movie is that there's no blooper reel, because Jackie got that from the Cannonball Run movies. But I like this. It's one of my personal favorites. You know what? I'm not going to apologize. This is one of my all-time greats, all my all-time favorites. I am putting it up here. But I will admit, the stunt work is not nearly as good as in these other movies, but it's a really nice, it's got a lot of heart. That's what I love about it. Unlike The Protector. Although, something that I will say about The Protector and Battle Creek Brawl, in comparison to some of Jackie's like old Hong Kong movies, unfortunately, if you get them on DVD, unless it's the old Hong Kong Legends, release, and unless it has the Cantonese voiceovers, you will not hear Jackie's actual speaking voice in any of those movies. They have this horrible actor just dub him over in those. And I get it, because, Jackie wouldn't have had any reason to dub like his, at that point, like 20-year-old movies or whatever. So another thing that I do like about, the one other thing about The Protector I like is that Jackie is actually delivering his own dialogue and he's not being dubbed over by another actor. And same thing with the Battle Creek Brawl. I talked about Jackie having great, supporting actors. I guess I have to talk about this now, the Rush Hour movies. Now, I have had a little bit of a turnaround on the Rush Hour movies as well. Okay, well, not my favorite Rush Hour movie has always been number 2. I always thought Rush Hour 2 was the best, but until a couple of years ago, I kind of had this impression in my mind that I liked number 2 and 3 better than the first one, because I always felt like Chris Tucker was a little underplayed in the action side in Rush Hour 1, and that Jackie was a little underplayed in the comedy side of things. But the second one is, in my view, the sweet spot. This is where Chris Tucker gets to be in a lot of action scenes, and Jackie gets to do a lot of comedy scenes. I think they find a nice balance there. And I like the villains in Rush Hour 2 a lot better as well. That's another thing that it has going for it. But you know what? I do think Rush Hour 1 actually is almost on par. Almost. Because I've rewatched it quite a few times since then, and I think the camaraderie between Jackie and Chris Tucker's character just comes through pretty strong on this. I'm gonna put it here in good action, weak story, because it's about the ambassador's daughter getting kidnapped. It's fine, but like I said, I like the villains in the second movie a lot better. I'm sorry to say then that Rush Hour 3 is the weakest one, and one of the big reasons it's kind of weak is because there's too much like CG stuff, and I get it, some of it they probably had to do, and it's very lowbrow too, but it's really funny. I think I'm gonna put it here into goofy as hell. Rush Hour 3 is goofy as hell, and you have to look at it like it dials up the comedy dial a little bit more. And I also gotta say, Chris Tucker, unfortunately, has visibly aged a lot more than Jackie has. And yeah, all the Rush Hour movies are worth watching. I'm not saying that. So I like all of them. But I do have to say, Rush Hour 2 has always been my favorite. So it remains my favorite. But I think now that I do prefer Rush Hour 1 a little bit more over Rush Hour 3. I used to be a little... used to have a slightly different take on it. And if we're going series, let's knock out the police stories, including New Police Story, out of the window. So the first Police Story, like, I gotta be honest, I've never been like the biggest fan of them, but I do like, there's a bit of a darkness to the first Police Story, especially the final act where it was Keiko Chan is his character in this. In parts 3 and 4, they start calling him Jackie, even though that's not the character's name in the Hong Kong dubs. Now, there are great action scenes. Like, I would say, cinematography, from a cinematography point of view, Police Story 1 is a fantastic film, but it delves into a lot of nonsense for the first act of the movie. Now, it is fun, don't get me wrong, but I do think some of the other Police Story movies did certain things better. Not number 2, though. Number 2... I'm pretty meh on. I'm gonna put it here in pretty meh. There are good action scenes here, but the story's like about a bunch of these criminals who are blowing up stores in order to extort them for money, and it's kind of weak sauce. Like, I don't know. Like, as cartoony as the crime boss is in the first Police Story, he's much more of a credible threat, in my opinion. The only other thing is that I do like they almost got the entire cast of the first movie to come back for this, so like Jackie's girlfriend, his boss, and then like the old officer character, because his boss, the guy who is like the superintendent or whatever it is, like the section chief, he's not in the third one anymore by when they get there. Now, as for that third movie, Police Story 3, Super Cop, I am putting this here in the all-time favorites. This is fantastic. Now, this goes a little overboard. Like, there is a pretty silly opening in this, and it's like Jackie working together with communist China police. Michelle Yeoh is playing up against him in this, and she's fantastic. But I love the undercover nonsense that Jackie goes on in this film. I think it's the thing that sets this apart from the other police stories. Like, the story maybe isn't like super unique, but they're trying to like nail this notorious international crime boss, and that's why Jackie is infiltrating his gang. And I do like that. I think there's like high stakes on this one. Now, if you're looking for this movie, it's not always released as Police Story 3. It is sometimes released as just Super Cop, which is confusing, but that's because they started putting these on home video after Jackie's big break in the mid-90s, and because they didn't want to confuse people, or they didn't know that nobody would watch Police Story 1 and 2 because they were never dubbed in English originally. That's why they released them as standalones. And that's actually how I saw number 4, which is confusingly called First Strike. And this picture does not do it justice. This belongs in the goofy as hell as well. This is where Jackie first goes to Eastern Europe. I forget which country. But he's trying to stop, this one goes full James Bond. He's trying to stop the bad guys from getting a nuke. And then he goes to Australia. He screws around in the aquarium in this one. It's a balls to the walls, silly movie. You don't have to take it too seriously. So it's not as good as Super Cop as a film, but I do love it, and it was the first one I saw. A lot of times it's released just as Jackie Chan's First Strike, again, because at the time, because this came out after Rumble in the Bronx, which I'm now gonna have to talk about. So Rumble in the Bronx, this is the movie that allowed Jackie to break big in the US. Now, I just gotta be honest. I just don't like this movie very much. There's nothing special about it. It's got a lot of the same shit that you can see in a lot of Jackie movies. The villains aren't very memorable. The main thing that I think is funny about this movie is the fact that it's supposed to be set in New York, but if you pay close attention, you can definitely tell that we're not even close to the United States. There's like one notorious scene where where the mafia boss shoves one of the street thugs into like a wood chipper, and you see like these mountains in the background, and it's like obvious that they shot it in like either in Canada or just outside Hong Kong, whichever. It's not a horrible movie. I will say it has good parts in it, but I just don't personally like it very much. And that's why I have to put it in the pretty meh. Now, we haven't put anything in the good story, weak action. I think I have to talk about one here. This is a very recent movie. The Foreigner. It's based on a book, and it was directed by the guy who directed GoldenEye and Casino Royale. It's a very dark movie. Jackie's was it his daughter gets killed at the beginning, and then he basically turns into a terrorist to try to get people to, investigate what's going on. And Pierce Brosnan is in this as well. It has a very, very good story, but I will say it's not a feel-good movie. It is the polar opposite of it. It is very dark, kind of depressing, but Jackie gives like a very good, like very, kind of a broken man performance there. Another movie that I think has a good story, which I don't necessarily remember particularly for the action, but it's The Karate Kid. And yes, I have seen the original Karate Kid, and I gotta be honest, I'm just not a big fan of the original Karate Kid. I think this remake is a lot more like emotionally impactful. It's just a better movie. That's, I'm sorry people might get pissed off at me for saying that, but I do really feel that way. The only thing that doesn't really make sense to me is that Jaden Smith's little romance feels a little contrived, especially because he's so much younger than the protagonist from the original Karate Kid. But the story of him and his master, bonding is so much better in this. It's a really good story. And again, Jackie, as an older man, Jackie actually can pull off these kind of serious roles, very well. I'm kind of sad that he hasn't done it, a lot more or in better movies. You know what? Sorry, I did forget one police story. Speaking of which, let's put the new police story. It belongs in this rank as well. Like, this one's a pretty like dark and gritty film. This is also not a fun time, but this one actually has a few good action scenes, but it is about it takes the story. It's basically kind of the same story as Police Story, but where they jump into that final act almost immediately, where Jackie is just completely broken down. Except they take it up a notch, because in this, like, his entire unit gets wiped out by the criminals at the start. And it's all about him, finding his confidence and coming back. So I do think it's, it is a slightly, well, not slightly, it's a much darker movie than the original Police Stories. But the story is this pull in this. There's a little bit of comedy in there, but not a lot. It is, mostly kind of a very dark movie, but I think it works really well. Sorry, I don't know what's up with this poster. It's got Jackie Chan's name misspelled there. Okay, we've mentioned quite a few good Jackie movies. Now I think we have to talk about some of the bad ones. Okay, The Tuxedo. So I recently rewatched this. I said this, and the funny part about it is, like, rewatching it, I noticed all these little things that I had never noticed before, and that might be because it had been a very, very long time since I watched the movie from start to finish. I catch it on TV all the time. That I understand now a little better now that I rewatched it, is that, okay, Jackie's character in this movie is supposed to be a pathetic loser. He's not good at fighting at all. It's the Tuxedo, which is like this high-tech piece of equipment that does the fighting for him. And in the context of that, some of the shit in the movie makes sense. The story really doesn't make any sense. Again, the comedy is very lowbrow. And what I said about Jackie's, like, the chemistry between Jackie and his sidekick, who in this movie is Jennifer Love Hewitt, it's just not there. The chemistry is non-existent. But the more so, Jackie actually isn't really even at his best because he doesn't get to do a lot of like real stunts. There's so much like fakery with CG and cables and shit. It's a kind of an ADHD kind of film. It is not good. But let me put it this way. I laughed at it a lot more watching it the second time. So I'm willing to upgrade it from bad to pretty meh based on that. It's still not a good movie. I would not necessarily openly suggest watching it, but I will say that it's at least bad enough that you can make fun of it. That's its biggest saving grace. In a similar fashion, I kind of feel a little bit about this movie, Spy Next Door, because this is kind of like a Disney Channel Jackie Chan movie, really. Now, the thing is, the stunt work in this is actually much better than in Tuxedo. And the thing that this has that I think Tuxedo doesn't have, this has like the Jackie Chan heart. Like Jackie plays like a kind of a, well-meaning character. And that's the thing that I kind of like about it. I've previously not been very kind to this movie. But you know what? That thing, because he's getting together with this lady who has 3 other kids, and he genuinely wants to connect with his future stepkids and protect them from the bad guys. So he's, the guy, he's an agent, but he's an agent who's retiring. But then some criminals try to get him. And the criminals are very funny. They're very silly and off the wall. So I'm willing to put this in the goofy as hell category, just barely. It is, I would choose either one of these movies over it any day of the week. But it is actually, I do actually like it a lot. Now, I have not seen Drunken Master, but I have unfortunately seen Drunken Master 2. This is this is like such a cookie cutter Jackie Chan movie. There is nothing outstanding about it. I barely remember any details from it. The fight scenes are whatever, the bad guys are whatever. And the problem is also because I haven't seen the first movie, I get the feeling like in the comedy department there were like a lot of jokes that were referencing back to the first movie, and I did not get any of those. So that's why I don't really like this one. You've seen from here that I do like when Jackie tries to do a serious story, but I will also admit that Jackie sometimes fails pretty badly at it. And the worst example of that is this, Heart of a Dragon. This is a really depressing movie. It's Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung in the lead roles, and Sammo Hung plays Jackie's brother, who's fully grown, but he's mentally not developed. He acts like a child and gets into trouble all the way through it. This is just a depressing movie. It doesn't really have it doesn't even get like a happy ending or anything. And it's and it's trying to do a more serious story, but it's so melodramatic, and I get such an icky feeling from watching it. And the finale is like shockingly violent. Like Jackie's friends eventually, like there's a bunch of gangsters that kidnap his brother eventually of some misunderstanding, and Jackie's friends go and try to help get Sammo Hung back, and they end up like dying horrible deaths in the final acts of the movie. It is real bad. Okay, so one movie and its sequel here that I do want to talk about. Okay, Armor of God. I think this might be my all-time favorite 80s Jackie movie, actually, so it deserves to go up here. It's a movie that Jackie almost died making. The thing I like about this is that Jackie is playing like not a completely heroic character. I love the interplay he has with Alan Tam, and the lady actress whose name I'm unfortunately forgotten. She's really good in this as well. The story is not necessarily something special, but it's robust enough that I'm willing to kind of bypass it, and I just really, really enjoy it. Outside of this, I would probably put it in the good action week story side of things, but I do like it a lot. It is actually a really, really fun movie. There's a lot of great stuff in it. And actually, my favorite song in the movie, ironically, is not the one Jackie sings. It's actually Alan Tam singing The Midnight Rider. Now, unfortunately, the sequel, Armor of God 2, Operation Condor, this one's not very good. It's about Jackie, so his character is called Agent Hawk in these films. It's him and a couple of other people looking for Nazi gold in Sahara. and it again, it is just very kind of lowbrow. The bad guys aren't very interesting, and nothing super cool really happens in it. It's kind of whatever. It's not awful. It's pretty meh. There's a couple of scenes in it that I like. The lady who was the leading lady in this, I'll put up a picture of her if I remember to do that. She shows up in another Jackie movie, which is one of these Jackie Chan, Yuen Bao, Sammo Hung dealios, which is Wheels on Meals. Actually, there he is. She's in the poster. And it has Benny Urquidez in it. This one I'm willing to put in the good action weak story. It's a movie that doesn't make a lot of sense. It's Jackie and his friends running a food truck in Italy, and they run into some criminals. It's nothing too special, but it's a very fun, carefree sort of movie. These Sammo Hung, Yuen Bao, Jackie dealios are usually pretty good. Case in point, and unfortunately I could not find a better picture of it, so I'm sorry I had to put this one here, but whoops, not this one. Dragons Forever. So in this, Jackie is like a slimy lawyer. Sammo Hung is his sort of a shady friend who he hires to romance the lady who owns a fish farm that he's trying to buy. And it turns out his client is actually a bunch of criminals who are trying to run a drug lab from there. And Yuen Bao is like this crazy guy who also gets wrapped up in it. It's a lot story-wise, but I actually really like this one. I'm kind of like in a pickle where to put. It does have good action scenes, and I think the story is pretty great too. But I wouldn't go so far as to say this is one of my all-time favorites. I do think it's by far the best of these Jackie Chan, Yuen Bao, Sammo Hung dealios. Let's put it in goofy as hell. You know what's also another crazy gold nuts movie? It's this, Twin Dragons. So Jackie plays a dual role, twins who were separated at birth. One becomes a mechanic, the other one becomes a concert pianist, which is why I hate this poster, because he's holding a violin and, you know, that's not his instrument in the movie. I used to not like this movie a lot, but I rewatched it a few years ago, and I realized, like, you know what, if you just go in it for the silliness, for the lulls, then it's actually a really good movie. Don't take it too seriously. The bad guys are completely unmemorable, but there's some great scenes, because the brothers have this mental link, and when one of them does something crazy, the other one always reacts to it, like, gets into a fight or something, so the other one starts acting erratically because of it. Don't take it too seriously, and then you'll enjoy it. I think it's a good movie in that regard. Now, another goofy as hell movie. This is another oldie, To Kill with Intrigue, and this is a movie that Jackie himself doesn't actually like very much. It was shot in Korea, and it's his only wuxia film that he's ever done, and it's absolutely buck fucking wild. There's guys getting murdered left and right. So Wuxia is this kind of like period piece Hong Kong movie where everybody's like wearing fake wigs and fake beards. And Jackie is one of the lead characters, but there's so many different characters who have, you know, it's basically like Game of Thrones in ancient China. People are getting murdered left and right. And it's maybe not super coherent, but I loved it. I really, really liked it a lot. And I really kind of want to see more of these wuxia films myself. This is really the only one I've ever watched. I've never seen any of them, the other ones. But yeah, if you're trying to make sense of the story, it is a bit convoluted, but I liked it a lot. It is a hell of a time. Another goofy as hell movie, My Lucky Stars. So this is the Winners and Sinners sequel that I was talking about, where, like I said, Jackie is a police officer whose partner is kidnapped by ninjas, and then he gets a bunch of ex-criminals to help him rescue him in Japan. So it's an ensemble film. There's a lot of great actors, and it's not really a sequel to Winners and Sinners. It's a sequel in name only, but weirdly, then the next movie, Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars, is a direct sequel to this. Like, they make direct references and everything to it. But yeah, this one is recommended just as a silly good time. It's not necessarily a great movie, but if you love Richard Nang, I would highly recommend it. And then, yes, there's the lady in the leotards in one of the fight scenes. And Yuen Bao's in this as well, I think, and he's really good. Project A, this is another ensemble piece, Hong Kong movie. This one is pretty good. I would put it here in good action. Maybe the story's not super great. Like it's about the Hong Kong Navy trying to stop some pirates, but it's actually more. Most of the movie happens around the garrison and the officers and the soldiers not liking each other very much. But it is a fun movie. It is a good movie. I would recommend it. And here's City Hunter. This is the last of my all-time favorites. It's going up here. So it's a very loose adaptation of the City Hunter anime. Jackie has a great supporting cast in this. It is super goofy. It is almost like a live-action cartoon. And I think, and the director later went on to do that movie Future Cops, which, in my opinion, is not nearly as good. This one's a lot funnier. And it's super goofy, super silly. Like it's the craziest of the movies up here in my all-time favorite. So, and that's why I love it. It is a and Jackie's like even his final fight scene with Richard Norton is amazing. It takes a long time. It is a little bit maybe a little overlong maybe, but it's good time. It's funny, and like I said, the support cast is all great. Now, a movie Richard Norton is also in that I'm not as big on is this one, Mr. Nice Guy. Jackie is a TV cook who runs into a TV reporter who is being chased by criminals. She's just filmed like a drug deal with this business tycoon, and they accidentally swapped VHS tapes, and Jackie then gets into all kinds of trouble with the criminals. Yeah, it's pretty cookie cutter, and like, you know, the fact they don't explain why Jackie is so good at fighting in this. It's just like, oh, he's a TV cook who works in Australia. No other explanation. It's completely it's complete nonsense. I don't really get off on it. The only thing I like about it is that Sammo Hung has a cameo in this where as a cyclist who keeps running into the criminals and keeps getting beaten up until at the end, and you know, he catches up to one of the criminals and beats them up. But that's the only thing. And then Jackie destroys like Richard Norton's mansion in it with a. I used to remember that it was like a monster truck, but it might just be like a gigantic like construction truck or something. I don't know. It's like very low stakes and not a big fan of it. Accidental Spy, I feel a little bit the same way. This one's even more random. Jackie is just like a store employee who stops some criminals. His dad, who's a Korean spy, finds out about it, calls him up, and sends him on a trail of some money in Istanbul, which I think is just drug money. And then it all ends up in this like chase scene on a giant truck. This movie is just super random. Like it feels like shit just happens in it for the sake of happening, and I don't like it. It's completely scattershot. The only scene of it that I remember liking at all is that at one point Jackie has to run into Istanbul and he doesn't have any clothes, so he's just running around naked. And yeah, it's a little bit funny, but it's not really, you know, one to build a whole movie on. Railroad Tigers, this is the one Jackie did with his son, J.C. Chang. They're looking for some treasure in this. This one also just has a lot of like CG, and I think the idea was that Jackie was trying to, you know, help these new Hong Kong actors get big, but it never really worked. When they get like one of these established old guard Hong Kong guys to help a new cast get big, it doesn't just usually work. And this one it's very middle of the road. Around the World in 80 Days. Now this is a movie that doesn't have a great reputation, but I personally love. It's so goofy. It is so silly. There are so many weird random cameos, like Arnold Schwarzenegger being, you know, the obvious one, but a lot of great ones. I will admit, Jackie and Stephen Coogan's on-screen chemistry is also pretty weak in this, but Stephen Coogan is funny enough on his own that he doesn't need Jackie to play off of, really. It's very cartoony. It's a little bit like City Hunter, but like, you know, dialed up to 10 actually. So, and some of the jokes and things in it are a little lowbrow and not always the best. But I get the warm fuzzies from this. It's a feel-good movie for me, and that's why I like it. It is not. I will admit, it is not even a very good, you know, adaptation of Around the World in 80 Days, because Jackie Chan, he is Passepartout, but he's not really Passepartout. He's pretending to be French. And the scenes in France when he's trying to fake speaking French, like that makes me cringe so bad every time. That is like my least favorite part of the movie. But the rest of it is funny and hilarious. That's the thing I like about it. And finally, Miracles. This movie is also known as the Canton Godfather, and that's the name that it's in the movie collection that I have. Now, this was a movie I didn't know anything about. Jackie is just some Joe Schmo who accidentally becomes the mafia godfather when the previous one dies in his arms. And then he tries to turn the mob around into like running a legitimate like nightclub. This one has to go up here. This is a really good feel-good movie. It's completely unlike all of Jackie's other like 80s movies. And remember, this is not even Jackie's like only like period piece movie. The action scenes are not the best. It's very subtle with the action scenes. It's clear that it was not meant to be like the action scenes are not meant to be the big set piece, but I don't care. I like the story. I like this for the story. I can't really say it's one of my all-time favorites because I've only seen it so very recently, and it's also very long. I will say this is probably one of the longest of the movie. I think this is the only one that is like clocks in at like 2 hours, but it's just a very, very good movie, and I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. I imagine a lot of people haven't. It seems like a bit of an obscure one. I'm still looking at Thunderbolt, but I think I feel comfortable putting Thunderbolt where I put it. As you can see, I like most Jackie Chan movies. Like, you know, for me to not like a Jackie Chan movie, it has to actually, ironically, it either has to be really bad or just have to be kind of very middle of the road so I don't get much out of it. Tuxedo is still on the limit whether or not I would actually put it here. I think objectively all of these other movies are actually better than it is. But like it's bad, it's so bad you can laugh at it. I think now it would actually be the best of the worst, and so it's just barely up here. In a similar vein, Spy Next Door is just barely cracking the surface into goofy as hell, but it is better than any of these other movies. Okay, but that was my ranking of every Jackie Chan movie. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm Hannu the Hundemäkinen, and see you on the next one.